Shohei Ohtani, just like that, is off the trade block. No longer available for trade. The Angels have decided they're going to, as I think it was their GM, Maniason? I can never remember how to say that. Anyway, he said they're going to roll the dice and try to make the playoffs and see what they can do about getting Ohtani to come back. The Angels are going to roll the dice. Like I said, they're going to try to make the playoffs, and they made a pretty big move in the last 24 hours. They traded for Lucas Giolito to help out that pitching staff. I think that's a pretty big deal. That's a big deal. Giolito has had his issues this year in Chicago, but then again, who has not in Chicago, right? So I don't know. It's interesting. It'll be interesting to see what he does in Anaheim for the Angels. The Angels traded catcher Edgar Caro and pitcher Kai Bush, not to be confused with Kyle Busch, for those of you keeping track. No pun intended. But anyway, and then the Angels got Lucas Giolito and Ronaldo Lopez. So there's a couple of really interesting things about this. First off, like I said, it's interesting that the Angels have suddenly decided they're going to go on. That they're not going to trade Ohtani. They're going to risk it. They're going to be like, you know what? Let's make a push for the playoffs, which I'm surprised they didn't do to begin with because they don't have a terrible team, right? Like, I kind of dump on them, but that's because they're an AL West rival, right? But they've proven to this point they have a pretty decent team. And I think another big thing that has to do with it is the fact that the AL East has settled down a little bit, right? Because at the beginning of the year, it looked like it was going to take 95, 96 wins to get in the wild card because of what the AL East was doing, pounding on the AL Central, beating up, honestly, some of the AL West as well, right? And so there was a lot of record inflation there early. The Rays have settled down. The Blue Jays have kind of come down a little bit. The Yankees have come down a lot, right? And the Red Sox have kind of kept steady. It's been interesting. I'll get there in a little bit. But I think it's a smart move by the Angels to try to go in and make the playoffs because right now anybody could in the American League. I'll get there a little bit deeper in a little bit, but it's a really tight race with the American League and the wild card.